Hi, my name is Lisa Paradiso, and I'm one of the dietitians at the Edina Livia Center. I'm here today to talk to you about sleep and why it's so important for your overall health. I like to start with a quote. This one is spoken by Dr. William Dement, who is the founder of the Sleep Research Center at Stanford University. And he says, "Sleep is the most important predictor of how long you will live, perhaps even more important than if you smoke, have high blood pressure, have high cholesterol, or if you exercise." And I think this is really important because we all know how important exercise is for our health. We all know that smoking can be bad for us, and we all know that cardiovascular disease is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. Now, Dr. William Dement is 90 years old, so I think he knows what he's talking about when it comes to sleep and overall health. And I really like to start with that quote because I think it is really staggering for him to be saying something like that. It really speaks to us. So let's talk about how much sleep is needed and who's not getting enough. And it seems to be that 50% of Americans are sleep deprived. So half of us are not getting enough sleep at night, and generally people are getting 5 to 6 hours, which simply is not enough. According to the National Sleep Research Foundation, adults need between 7 and 8 hours of sleep every night. Now, children need quite a bit more, and as we age, the elderly can get away with slightly less, but really should at least be getting 7 hours every single night. So let's start by talking about sleep cycles and why they're important for our sleep health. Now, the circadian rhythm is the mechanism that regulates sleep, but also all other things that make us able to provide balance in our life. So the circadian rhythm is the body's way of regulating hunger and fullness, sleep and wakefulness, hot and cold, lots of other things. And it does this by timing out hormones, neurotransmitters, and other chemicals to make us sleepy at certain times, wakeful at other times, hungry at certain times, and the list goes on and on. And then the circadian rhythm responds to lightness and darkness. So as it starts to get dark at night, our bodies release different chemicals and hormones to make you sleepy. And as the sun rises in the morning, our bodies start to wake up and feel more aroused and stimulated. So the circadian rhythm is responsible for all of this balance, and the body does not like to go to any extreme. Not too hot, not too cold, not too hungry, not too full, not too anything. So let's talk about the sleep stages. Why are those important? So we have 5 different sleep stages, and it takes about 90 minutes to go through those 5 stages. So we go through them several times in one night, starting with stages 1 and 2, which are basically just our body's way of getting restful. They're not restorative. You're just starting to get kind of sleepy. Now, stages 3 and 4 are the deepest stages of sleep. That's when our bodies are consolidating different memories, they are replenishing hormones, replenishing chemicals, repairing body tissues, doing all of these really, really important tasks that make it possible for us to be optimal the next day, to function normally, for our bodies to work properly. Now, stage 5 sleep you've probably heard of. That's REM sleep, or rapid eye movement sleep. And this one is important because it makes you capable of learning new things the next day. So it is very important and responsible for consolidating the memories. So when you learn a new task or you participate in something really special and you want to keep that in the memory vault, stage 5 REM sleep is the time to do that. But it's also the time when we dream. So you might have seen your animals or pets moving their feet really rapidly or their eyes really rapidly, and it seems like perhaps they're running in a field or something like that. This is when they're dreaming. So we also do this during REM sleep. And interestingly, alcohol is something that can drag us out of REM sleep. So we don't spend an adequate amount of time in that stage, and consequently, we can't recall memories, our reaction times might be a little lower, we're just not as productive the next day. So best not to drink, especially close to bedtime. And we talk about sleep and overall health. There's a lot of different factors at play. There's our physical health, but also mental health, quality of life, our safety. Lots of things go into this little factor here. So our physical health, without adequate sleep at night, puts you at risk for a lot of different chronic diseases and also acute diseases. but mostly we're worried about the chronic disease. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. Our mental health. We kind of all act like little toddlers when we don't get enough sleep at night. So all of our emotions are exaggerated. Our anger, our frustrations, makes it a lot harder to have positive social interactions. Quality of life. Well, without enough sleep at night, your reaction time is diminished. You're just not as capable of participating in a relationship or conversation because you're not present. Your central nervous system requires more energy, and it doesn't see that as the most important thing. And then lastly, safety. Again, if your reaction time is diminished, it's not safe to drive when you're really sleepy. And in fact, too little sleep at night can actually, basically it treats the brain as if you are intoxicated. So it's really important that we get enough sleep just for those couple of factors. Without enough sleep at night, this is kind of where I'll talk about our physical health. It puts you at risk for a lot of diseases. Some chronic diseases include kidney disease, diabetes, heart disease, and that's mostly because your body's not able to repair those blood vessels and all of the important factors that go along with the heart. So it puts a lot of pressure on the heart to not get enough sleep at night. It decreases your immune response, makes it difficult for concentration and learning. It even alters your metabolism, so we're not able to burn energy quite as efficiently, which can put us at risk for obesity, which can put us at risk for other diseases. So it can kind of be a chain reaction there. Let's talk a little bit about the hormones involved with sleep. So melatonin, you've probably heard of, that's our body's natural hormone that makes you feel sleepy. So at night, when it's starting to get dark, your body releases some melatonin that makes you feel sleepy. Now in the morning, when it's time to wake up, the stimulating hormone is cortisol. So when this one is increased, it makes us wake up, and that's normal and healthy. But with too much cortisol, it can lead to health problems. And cortisol can be significantly higher even with just one night of sleep deprivation. So it's important to get adequate sleep to prevent that cortisol from spiking up, because our body undergoes a whole host of chemical reactions and physiological reactions. Basically, cortisol is not so good for the body in high amounts. And without enough sleep, in addition to our very stressful lifestyles, cortisol can be very, very high. The other two hormones I'd like to talk about are ghrelin and leptin. These might be a little foreign to you because we don't talk about them often, but these are the hormones that make us feel hungry and make us feel full. So without enough sleep at night, ghrelin, is the hormone that makes you feel hungry, is much higher. And leptin, the hormone that makes you feel full, is much lower. So we're just not quite as satisfied from the food we're eating, and we're much hungrier for it. In addition to this, our bodies tend to crave higher fat, higher sugar foods because the central nervous system says, I need energy and I need it fast. So we tend to eat 250 additional calories a day, and that's with about a 6-hour night's sleep. So just a little bit of sleep deprivation can make us that much hungrier. Now 250 additional calories in a day may not seem like much, but if that's every single day for a full year, that equals about 26 pounds by the end of that year. So it can add up, certainly. So sleep and appetite. Since your appetite can be much higher with a decreased lack of sleep, it can put you at risk for a higher BMI, which can eventually lead to obesity. As I talked about, it increases your hunger level, decreases your fullness level, and then it makes you crave those foods that maybe are not quite so good for us. In addition to that, you're not really able to participate in as much physical activity. So even if you do make it to the gym after a night of sleep deprivation, you might not be able to run quite as far or do quite as many reps or just move quite as much as you could without sleep deprivation. So we're just not really willing to put in the effort to work harder. So hopefully I've convinced you that sleep is vital for short and long-term health because it's repairing your body tissues, replenishing hormones and chemicals and all of those things that we need to function optimally throughout our day. It also is regenerating the body, restoring everything. We can't build our muscles without enough sleep at night. We can't repair our blood vessels, all of those things. Make new proteins, everything that we need to live a healthy, optimal life. Now, okay, sleep is really important. How do I get enough? And how can I incorporate healthier sleep hygiene into my life? So there's a few things you can do. Definitely avoid high-fat meals before bed because it takes longer to digest and the body is more focused on that than it is on having restorative sleep. So don't have a high-fat meal before bed. Don't eat too much before bed, but also don't eat too little. Remember, bodies don't like extremes. So we want to have something to eat, make sure that you're not hungry, but definitely don't be over full. Avoid fluids before bed. We don't want to have to wake up in the middle of the night to urinate. So definitely get your fluids in, but get them in earlier. Avoid caffeine closer to the end of the day, preferably nothing after 3 o'clock, caffeine-wise, because if you're getting adequate sleep at night, you shouldn't need as much caffeine, hopefully. But also, caffeine is a stimulant, so it keeps us awake, and it can be up to 8 hours for some individuals of that stimulant effect. Try not to oversleep. If you sleep too long, generally the body is not able to fall asleep fast the next day. So we want to keep that balance of 7 to 8 hours most nights. Not too little, not too much. Because there really isn't such thing as catching up on sleep. We like to say that a lot, but it's not very effective. Your body can only reach a certain threshold when it's replenishing those hormones and chemicals. So we don't want to overdo the sleep. That's not good for your health either. Definitely get exercise, but try not to do it right before bed or super late at night. Try to avoid alcohol before bed. That can sometimes be a challenging one because it does make you feel sleepy, but remember, it drags you out of that stage 5, very important REM sleep. So try to avoid alcohol, especially before bed. Going to bed and having a cup of tea is kind of nice. It helps to relax you and it feels kind of nice, so that's a great habit to add into your day. Try to decrease the light in your house, especially 2 hours before bed. So as it gets closer to bedtime, if you have a dimmer or some switches that you can turn off, try to get that done. It sends signals to the body that it's time to get sleepy. Reading before bed is really nice, maybe meditating if you have a mantra, if you need some type of white noise or pink noise, make sure that you have the resources to be able to use those. Keep your room cool if you can. Definitely not cold, you don't want to be shivering in bed, but cool enough. Make sure that you have a good, healthy sleep environment. So pillows should be soft and comfortable, your blankets and comforters should be soft and comfortable. Again, not too hot to keep you awake at night and not too cold so that you're shivering. So in summary, try your best. Let's try to shoot for at least 7 hours of sleep most nights of the week. I understand that this can be a challenge, but for your immune system, your physical health, your mental health, and then of course, safety and quality of life, it's so important to get adequate sleep at night. And if you have any questions, please reach out to your Livia team member and they can answer some of those for you.